Hi, I'm Kate Ward, and this is your Dickman Farm Smart Gardening Tip. It is late season in September for the gardening season, and this time of year, most everybody's looking for a little color. You know, we're sort of going into that nesting season where the colors get rich. We go into fall colors, and that brings about mums and other things that'll fill in the garden this type of year. And everybody knows mums. They're wonderful. They've got all sorts of colors and uses. One of the things that you don't know, here at Dickman Farms, the varieties that we grow are hardy. Well, what does hardy mean? That means that in our zone, we are able to get them to go into the ground, and they should come back in our winters. But there's a catch. So while they're totally hardy, and that's what hardy means, will it live in the zone in the cold temperatures that you have and conditions, they can be a little tricky. And why? Because very rarely do people want to put them in the ground. Because it's late season, you want to decorate your porch and invite people to come in for the fall, we put them there. And they live there, and most people dispose of them. But if you wanted to keep them, you're going to want to get them in the ground sooner than when they're done. As a matter of fact, the stage that these are in now here, which is fully budded up. So you can see, and this is a mum here, this will actually be pink. And here at the garden center, if you're never sure, just look at the benches. There's cards that'll tell you what color they're gonna be. But this is all well budded up, and this is all budded, so it will bloom. But if you want to try to come back every year, this is the stage you want to put it in the ground. The earlier, the better. Because all of these plants, and here's a smaller one for a better example, all of these plants want to root in. So you can see this root mass already. They want to get in and get growing instead of waiting till, say, I don't know, the end of October to go into the ground. There's not much grow time. The other thing about them is all of these mums are grown in potting mix. Now, potting mix is much lighter. It gets them to these shapes. So the thing to know about that, it's going to dry down a little bit faster. So you'll have to remember to water them. There's a giant top to these, so even considering, there's a lot of plant mass on the top compared to the root size. So if we were to plant this in the ground, it might dry out faster than you might anticipate. Say if you were planting something that you bought out in the perennial department, which has a different soil mix. So again, here's a better example. Here's a big 12-inch, and while that's a big pot, there's a big head. So this is full of roots and potting mix, which is gonna dry down, again, faster. So now we know we wanna get them in the ground sooner than later. We wanna pay attention to watering so they don't inadvertently dry out and get stressed out. Well, after those two things, we're gonna enjoy them. We're gonna let them go. If you're feeling really like you can do it, you're gonna lop off all the flowers. What? Well, flowers take energy. And if we want the plant to think, I should put in roots instead of tops, not a bad idea. There won't be many of us that can do it, so don't worry about it. But then, after it's all done, we're just gonna let it go, let it go, let it go. It's gonna turn yellow, and this is gonna die to the ground. This is considered an herbaceous perennial, so it's gonna die near the ground. When it turns all brown for the season, we're gonna trim it back, but leave it up about that high. So if it's on one of these bigger guys, maybe we're gonna just trim it back to here. And then for this first season, you're gonna take either some bark mulch or some light leaf mulch, not like the wet, gross stuff, and bring it up around the base of the plant. That's gonna be just like you putting on your winter jacket for the winter. All right, we're gonna get those leaves around there. We're gonna mulch around the base of the plant so that it stays nice and warm. And then we're gonna let it go through winter. So those are some of the most wonderful things that we can do to make sure they come back. Some things to consider. This plant, if you're gonna get it to come back year to year, is a plant that grows in full sun. It's going to love some amendments, so some nice compost, get some root stimulate, so some biotone, and all those things are gonna help you be successful with your hardy garden mom. And this has been your Dickman Farms Smart Gardening Tip.